Hello everyone. Today I want to talk about a topic that's been bouncing around in my head for a while: video games. That's right, wouldn't you know it, I've been thinking about video games for about 18 years now, and I thought it was finally time to share these thoughts with others. Games have a lot of purpose that goes beyond just being entertaining. They can be competitive, or give you these big dramatic stories, or they can just be fun. But there's one type of game that I don't think gets as much love as other games: Zen games. And I don't mean games like Zen Pinball or like those apps that tell you how to breathe. I mean games that, while still loosely called games in most cases, are designed in ways that can actually help you relax and just zone out. These 4 games I want to look at today are games that I think everyone should play, especially to feel a sense of peace and relaxation while playing them. The first game we're looking at today is Journey. It was developed by that game company and originally released on the PlayStation 3 in March of 2012, and eventually it received a port onto the PS4. The concept is simple. You're a cute little red carpet dude on a quest to reach the top of a mountain. We don't know exactly why or what's at the top of the mountain, but we know that's the destination, and by God, if we aren't going to try and get there. Over time you learn about the narrative, but, and this may be corny sounding, it's the journey, not the destination. Journey has 2 main functions: walking and interacting with your environment. There's a third function of gliding based off the length of your long, luxurious scarf, which you can increase the length of by finding hidden glyphs. The game looks, sounds, and just generally feels beautiful, even sometimes so much so that it can be a little overwhelming. The simple act of moving around is fun, especially when you just spam the button and keeps flashing symbols above your head, which is actually a form of communication for the game's secret co-op. At certain points in your journey, you'll be paired with another random player at the same point. If you guys move around at the same pace, then you guys stay together. It's silly, but sometimes the bond that the 2 of you shares feels deeper than some friendships I've had over the years. And that might play into the fact that you're just traveling through the desert and want some company in the long run. Half of what makes this game exceptional, though, is the music. The score made me tear up on more than one occasion during my playthrough for this video, especially with some of the more intense moments. This game knows how to be mysterious, heartfelt, isolated, and intense with the score alone. Songs like The Road of Trials and I Was Born for This are especially worth taking note of. One key thing to note about Journey is that it knows how to use environment to its advantage. While you spend your time largely in the desert, it doesn't feel just like a desert. You have sand dunes, ruins, a sandslide that is way too much fun, and eventually you even go through a submerged factory of sorts, which I won't give away too much info on because of the narrative. Also, I think it needs to be said briefly that all the little carpet creatures are precious and should be protected. This game is best experienced blind, and admittedly even repeat playthroughs are rewarding. Not only do you notice some things that you didn't before, but the sheer peace and tranquility you feel on the journey is amazing. It's borderline necessary for times like these. All in all, if you haven't checked out Journey, I can't recommend it enough. And if you have checked it out, play it again because I promise it's just as rewarding as you remember. Also, the ending made me cry. I just like to plug that reminder as often as I can. Journey is a great time, but what if I told you there's a game very similar to it that takes place underwater with a whole environment to explore? Developed by the aptly named Giant Squid Studios, Abzû is the closest thing we'll get to the perfect scuba diving fantasy game that isn't Endless Ocean. But here's the thing that makes Abzû really special, even before we get into what makes it an experience worth playing. Swimming in Abzû is fun. This may sound like it isn't a big deal, but in my experience, games and water levels don't mix well. Even the aforementioned Endless Ocean, which is just a diving simulator, doesn't always hit the mark of feeling good. But when I booted up Abzu and just started diving, I was smiling ear to ear. The act of just moving feels amazing. Similar to Journey, you have a button that lets you sort of interact with the environment around you, and I gotta say, while not as satisfying to use, the other movement options available to you are equally fun. You can curl up into a ball if you want to. I don't know why, nor do I know if it does anything, but it's fun nonetheless. One thing Abzu does exceptionally well is making the world feel lived in. The game is teeming with life, with whole underwater ecosystems based off of real-world fish. I spent more time than I want to admit just jumping out of the water with dolphins, trying to get that perfect cinematic jump. Mind you, I still haven't gotten it quite right, but doesn't it say more about the game that I'm willing to just jump for fun? There are two main sections of the game. There are sections where you swim really, really fast down a current tunnel, and these more open Zen sections, which include statues that you can meditate on and just take in your surroundings. These areas are absolutely gorgeous to look at, and I think the developers were aware of this because they put in a mode where you can just sit back and watch the sea life hang out and do their thing while you listen to this chill soundtrack. Honestly, the use of soundtrack in games like Abzu and Journey is super important, since without strong narratives, the player has to forge a bond with the world themselves. Journey, as I said, does this really well. However, I don't feel that Abzu does it as effectively. That isn't to say that the game doesn't have good music, it's just that I don't think the music always matches what's happening as often. Also, and this is a personal thing, but while the narrative in Journey is a bit more in the forefront, I have to be honest, I have no idea what the narrative of Abzu is meant to be about. But that's the thing. It doesn't really matter in the long run because I can pop the game and have a great time swimming with the fish without worrying too much about why I'm supposed to be doing what I'm doing. And honestly, that selling point alone is worth the price of admission to me. Not to mention, these chill soundtracks are perfect for listening to when you're stressed out or just generally working on stuff. There are plenty of genres of games that are meant for relaxing, but I don't think puzzle games are considered one of them. Honestly, puzzles stress me out more than they make me want to relax. So when I first played Tetris Effect, I was shocked to find that the game was almost the perfect way to just focus on one thing for long periods of time. Tetris Effect uses two main elements to achieve this: the visuals themselves and the dynamic soundtrack. Visually, Tetris Effect is a ton of fun. Each board has a new and distinct theme. Even if you think two are similar, about halfway through the board it'll change and become something totally new. And that's a really good thing. The fact that it's so diverse means every board is likely someone's favorite. I think my favorites from a visual perspective are the Deep, Yin and Yang, and that one construction one that I can't remember the name of. But then we get to the dynamic sounds of Tetris Effect. If you thought the visuals were a selling point, you have no idea just how much this changes everything. Each action the player does, turning a block, clearing a line, shifting the block around, they all create sounds that become part of the soundtrack of that board. And again, each board has a unique soundtrack, so the theory that everyone is someone's favorite still applies. And on top of that, the music actually evolves as you're clearing lines, making it easier to feel the progression. After a while, new elements of the song will appear, like vocals or a new beat of some sort. This sort of music that plays is absolutely amazing, and it's what initially made me fall in love with the game. After the first stage, I had to know what each and every board sounded like, and along the way, I found that Tetris, despite looking like the most anxiety-inducing thing ever created, actually really helped me stay calm and focused. So let's say you're a fan of both puzzles and exploring big open worlds. Let's take a look at this last game, The Witness. The Witness combines two core types of games: the game genre of walking simulators, and this line-based puzzle system that, if I'm being completely honest, I am not smart enough to solve. But that doesn't mean it's not worth trying. This game is absolutely beautiful, with some of the most gorgeous landscapes I've ever seen. And even if I am a dumb little baby who can't figure out how to snake a line to the end, I always want to see what creative way the game will spin puzzles on its head. From lining things up in the landscape to physically having to walk the path to solve the puzzle, the game spares no expense when trying to show you that the puzzle is more than what it seems. And when the puzzle types start combining, the game really becomes something different altogether. And that type of critical thinking required to solve some of the puzzles is rarely seen elsewhere. There's only one thing about the game I think is truly worth mentioning as a bit of a negative, because although the puzzles can be a little challenging, the narrative is a complete mystery to me. It could have the most engrossing story of all time, and I just wouldn't know, because frankly, I'm too stupid to figure out how to navigate some lines. But you know what? That doesn't mean I don't want to keep exploring the beautiful world and to see what other things I can figure out. The sound design is stellar, and the world is beautifully crafted. All in all, I think it's worth checking out for the display alone. And hey, if you can figure out some of these puzzles, you might officially be smarter than me. Granted, that's a very low bar for entry, but hey, you gotta start somewhere. I know there are plenty of other games that can help you relax. I mean, some games are even meant to be more emotional than relaxing. Some games, like Journey, can make me cry regardless of how I feel about the game. Again, low bar for entry. I cry a lot. But just the fact that games have this sort of power means that regardless of genre, some games are worth exploring. I would say these 4 games are perfect to show to someone new to gaming. In fact, I have someone in mind who I would love to watch play Journey for the first time. So, if you think you know someone out there who would like one of these games, show them this video. There's a whole world of games out there. There's definitely one for everyone. If you watched this video all the way to the end, I really appreciate you. Like, seriously, you have no idea how much it means to me. And also, you're very beautiful. Did you do something different with your hair today? Yeah, I could tell. If you liked this video, leave a like, comment on some other game themes you'd like to see me cover in the future, and subscribe for hopefully more content coming at a semi-regular pace. I'm not going to commit to anything. I've been Andrew, and I hope you have an awesome rest of your day.